Hi JikookVerse family, welcome back to JikookVerse, where every little moment becomes a story worth talking about. Today, we are stepping into a dinner night that has everyone talking, because Jimin and Jungkook are said to have found a quiet corner of Chicago for a luxurious meal, a little privacy, and a whole lot of sweetness. And when I say a whole lot of sweetness, I mean the kind of dinner that sounds simple at first, but somehow turns into one adorable moment after another. The setting feels almost too perfect. Chicago at night, the city lights reflecting across the streets, the sound of traffic moving in the distance, and somewhere tucked away from the busiest parts of town is a restaurant with no name attached to our story. No flashy entrance, no dramatic arrival, no crowd waiting outside. Just a discreet place where two familiar faces can sit down, relax, and enjoy dinner without turning the entire evening into a spectacle. According to the story we are following tonight, Jimin and Jungkook arrive at the restaurant with one goal in mind: good food and uninterrupted time together. There is no complicated agenda, no packed schedule being discussed, and no pressure to make the evening look like anything other than what it is. They settle into a private table, take a look around, and immediately start talking like they have forgotten the rest of the city exists. The first thing that makes this dinner special is how comfortable they seem with each other. Jimin is described as taking his time looking over the menu, reading every detail and considering far too many choices before finally looking toward Jungkook. Jungkook, meanwhile, appears much more confident, already having decided that Chicago-style deep dish pizza is going to be the star of the night. And honestly, can you blame him? A Chicago dinner without deep dish pizza would almost feel incomplete. The pizza arrives at the table looking exactly like the kind of dish that demands attention. Thick, golden crust, layers of cheese, rich tomato sauce, and enough filling to make everyone at the table pause for a second before reaching for the first slice. Jungkook is apparently the first one to react, leaning closer with that unmistakable expression of someone who has just spotted exactly what they wanted. Jimin looks amused, watching Jungkook prepare himself as though this is some kind of serious culinary mission. And then comes the first sweet moment. Instead of immediately taking the largest slice for himself, Jungkook chooses one and carefully moves it toward Jimin's plate. It is such a small gesture, but those are often the moments that stand out the most. Jimin gives him that look that seems to say, "Really, you're doing this already?" And Jungkook simply smiles as though there is nothing unusual about making sure Jimin gets the first bite. Jimin takes the slice, takes a bite, and immediately reacts to the flavor. Rich, cheesy, warm, and completely comforting. He looks pleasantly surprised, and Jungkook watches the reaction closely, clearly more interested in Jimin's opinion than his own. That sets the tone for the rest of the meal. This is not the kind of dinner where two people simply order separate dishes and spend the evening quietly eating. Everything becomes shared. Every dish turns into an excuse to ask, "Do you like this?" Every bite becomes a reason to offer a taste across the table. Alongside the deep dish pizza, the table fills with classic Chicago-inspired dishes. There are crispy onion rings, loaded fries, buttery garlic bread, Italian beef sandwiches, a fresh salad with a bright dressing, and a few side dishes chosen because they look too good to ignore. There is enough food for several people, but somehow Jimin and Jungkook keep treating the meal like a personal tasting session for two. Jimin tries a bite of the Italian beef and pauses before looking toward Jungkook. Jungkook immediately asks for his reaction, and Jimin gives him a playful answer rather than a serious review. That seems to make Jungkook laugh, and suddenly they are both smiling again. Then Jimin decides it is his turn to return the favor. He picks up a small piece of food, holds it out toward Jungkook, and waits. Jungkook looks at him for a moment, smiles, and leans forward to take the bite. And just like that, the dinner becomes a feeding each other competition. JikookVerse family, you already know where this is going. One bite becomes another. One playful gesture becomes a full rhythm between them. Jimin offers something, Jungkook accepts. Jungkook chooses something from his plate, and Jimin tries it next. Every few minutes, they are exchanging recommendations, stealing bites, and laughing when the other person reacts dramatically to a flavor. The best part is that neither one seems to be taking the whole thing too seriously. There is no formal performance here. It feels casual, warm, and slightly mischievous. At one point, Jungkook apparently finds a particularly good piece of pizza and decides that Jimin absolutely has to try it. Instead of simply placing it on Jimin's plate, he holds it out and waits for him to take a bite directly. Jimin gives him a playful look before accepting. Jungkook smiles, and for a second, the entire dinner seems to pause around that tiny exchange. Those are the moments that make this story so charming. Not some huge declaration, not a dramatic scene, but a simple gesture that carries a surprising amount of warmth. And the evening keeps building from there. Jimin is described as noticing that Jungkook keeps reaching for the spicier side dishes, so he warns him not to overdo it. Jungkook insists he can handle it. Jimin raises an eyebrow as if he has heard this claim before. A few bites later, Jungkook realizes the spice is stronger than expected. Jimin tries not to laugh. He fails. Jungkook gives him an exaggeratedly betrayed expression, and Jimin immediately slides a drink across the table. That is another tiny moment, but it tells us everything about the tone of this dinner. Playful teasing is balanced by quiet care. One person laughs, but the other still makes sure the spicy food does not become a problem. And then they return to dessert. Because a dinner like this was never going to end with pizza and side dishes. The dessert menu becomes a whole new conversation. Jimin appears drawn toward something lighter and sweeter, while Jungkook seems ready to order anything that sounds rich enough to qualify as a final challenge. Eventually, they choose a few desserts to share. One is a warm chocolate dessert, another is a creamy cheesecake-inspired dish, and there is also a Chicago-style sweet treat that gives them another reason to compare favorites. Jungkook takes the first bite of the chocolate dessert, closes his eyes for a second, and looks completely satisfied. Jimin laughs and asks whether it is really that good. Jungkook nods. Jimin tries it. Then he nods too. And suddenly they are having another conversation about which dessert deserves to be ordered again. Jimin votes for the creamy option. Jungkook argues for chocolate. Neither gives in. So naturally, they keep sharing both. What makes the evening feel so memorable is how little pressure there seems to be. There is no rush to finish dinner. No reason to hurry away from the table. Just long conversations, little jokes, and those comfortable pauses where neither person has to fill the silence. The city outside keeps moving, but inside that quiet restaurant, time feels slower. Jimin is described as leaning back in his chair, listening while Jungkook tells a story. Every so often, Jimin interrupts with a quick comment that makes Jungkook laugh. Jungkook responds by teasing him right back. Then there is one moment that feels especially sweet. Jimin notices a little bit of sauce near Jungkook's mouth. Instead of saying anything from across the table, he reaches over and gently points it out. Jungkook wipes it away, realizes what happened, and laughs. Jimin laughs too. It is simple, almost ordinary, but it becomes one of those little memories that seems to stay with you because it happens naturally. And that is really the theme of the entire dinner. Nothing needs to be dramatic. The sweetest moments are the ones that happen because two people are comfortable enough to be themselves. Jungkook continues trying to convince Jimin to take another bite of the deep dish pizza. Jimin insists he has already eaten enough. Jungkook offers a smaller piece. Jimin accepts. Jungkook looks victorious. Jimin immediately points out that he has obviously been waiting for that exact answer. Another round of laughter. Another shared bite. Another moment that feels almost too wholesome for a dinner this quiet. As the plates slowly empty, the conversation becomes calmer. The energy settles into something softer. They are no longer debating which dish is better or trying to win a feeding challenge. Now they are simply enjoying the end of the night. The restaurant around them remains quiet, and the hidden quality of the evening gives the whole story a cozy atmosphere. Jimin takes a slow sip of his drink while Jungkook looks around the room. Jungkook then asks whether Jimin enjoyed the dinner. Jimin says yes, but instead of giving a simple answer, he adds that the best part was getting to take his time. Jungkook smiles at that. And maybe that is what makes this fictional dinner so appealing. It is not really about the pizza, the dessert, or even the fancy restaurant. Those details simply create the setting for two people to relax and enjoy a night together. There is something very comforting about the image of Jimin and Jungkook sitting across from each other, sharing food, laughing over small mistakes, and making ordinary moments feel special. Even the little disagreements become part of the fun. Jimin wants one dessert. Jungkook wants another. Jimin says they are done ordering. Jungkook notices something else on the menu. Jimin looks at him. Jungkook smiles, and somehow another dish appears on the table. That is the kind of evening this story captures. Toward the end of dinner, they apparently slow down even more. The plates are nearly empty, the drinks are almost finished, and there is no reason to keep ordering anything. Jimin reaches for the last small bite of dessert. Jungkook notices. He waits. Jimin takes it. Jungkook laughs and asks if that was the final bite. Jimin says yes. Then he looks at Jungkook and asks whether he wants to split one more piece. Jungkook says yes immediately. And there it is again. One more shared bite, one more little smile, one more reason to stay at the table a little longer. The evening eventually comes to an end, but even that feels gentle rather than dramatic. They take their time getting ready to leave. Jimin checks that nothing has been left behind. Jungkook takes one last look at the table as if trying to decide whether he can somehow bring the pizza with him. Jimin laughs. They head out together. The restaurant remains unnamed, the exact location stays private within the story, and the night quietly disappears back into Chicago's endless rhythm. Outside, the city lights continue glowing. Cars pass. People walk through the streets. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, this dinner has created its own little bubble of warmth. JikookVerse family, that is what makes this story so enjoyable. The food matters because Chicago gives us the perfect backdrop. The deep dish pizza gives us the classic comfort. The Italian beef, the side dishes, and the desserts make the dinner feel luxurious. But none of those things are the real center of the story. The center is the way Jimin and Jungkook keep choosing to share. Share the food, share the jokes, share the reactions, share the last bite, share the small moments that do not need an audience to feel meaningful. And the feeding each other moments might be the sweetest part of all. Because there is something incredibly charming about watching two people turn a simple meal into a playful exchange. One person says, "Try this." The other says, "Only if you try mine." Then somebody laughs because the other person made a ridiculous expression after tasting something spicy. That is how a dinner becomes memorable. Not because every minute is dramatic, but because every little moment feels connected. Jimin noticing what Jungkook likes. Jungkook remembering what Jimin prefers. Jimin teasing him when he orders too much. Jungkook insisting there is always room for dessert. And both of them laughing when neither can actually finish everything they ordered. The whole evening feels like a long conversation with food in the middle of it. And perhaps that is why the image of a secret luxury dinner in Chicago feels so appealing for JikookVerse family. There is something cinematic about it without needing anything complicated. A quiet restaurant, a table for two, the city outside, a deep dish pizza in the middle, two people sharing every dish, and enough sweet moments to make the entire night feel warmer than it started. By the time they leave, the pizza is gone, the desserts are finished, and the conversation has probably touched 100 different topics. But the little things remain. The first slice offered across the table, the bite shared directly, the laughter after the spicy dish, the playful argument over dessert, the last piece divided between them. And that final decision to stay just a little longer before heading back into the city. For a dinner that was supposed to be simple, it certainly turned into a collection of unforgettable moments. JikookVerse family, that is our Chicago dinner story for today. From the first slice of deep dish pizza to the final shared dessert, this evening is filled with the kind of sweetness that makes a simple meal feel like a special memory. And maybe that is the biggest takeaway from this whole story. Sometimes the most beautiful moments are not the loud ones, they are the quiet ones. The ones where someone saves you the best bite. The ones where someone notices you need a drink after trying something too spicy. The ones where you laugh so much over dinner that you forget to check the time. The ones where you could order another dish, but decide the conversation is already enough. Jimin and Jungkook leaving that quiet Chicago restaurant, surrounded by the glow of the city, feels like the perfect ending to a night built around food, laughter, and shared attention. And for JikookVerse family, every little detail makes the story even sweeter. So tonight, we had deep dish pizza. We had Chicago comfort food. We had shared desserts. We had playful feeding moments. We had teasing. We had laughter. We had quiet care. And most importantly, we had that familiar feeling of two people being completely comfortable in each other's company. That is why this dinner stands out. Not because it was extravagant, but because every little gesture made it feel personal. Every bite became a conversation. Every dish became something to share. Every smile added another layer to the night. And by the time the evening was over, the luxury of the restaurant almost felt secondary. Because the real luxury was simply having time together. JikookVerse family, thank you for spending this Chicago night with me here at JikookVerse. From the first bite of deep dish pizza to that final sweet moment at the end of dinner, this was one evening filled with warmth, laughter, and just a little too much sweetness. And honestly, that might be exactly why it is so hard to forget.